things as entertainment and then neglecting the core truths of our faith and being in dissent, in public dissent.
He's going to be up in a second, but let me ask you this. Are well-known people like Sean, who are Catholic and in the public eye, should they be using their platforms necessarily to preach the tenets of Catholicism when they're in the media? Is that something that one is obliged to do?
No, one is not obliged to do that at all. One is simply obliged not to be a heretic in public. That's the point. If he doesn't agree with his church on that matter, he should not be pronouncing on the matter as if he was the authority on that matter. He's not.
Reverend, let me just say, you don't really, you call me a hypocrite. You question the depth of my faith. Do you know anything about me and my religious beliefs and my background in religion? Do you know anything about me?
I only see the evidence, Sean. I see the evidence of a superficial presentation of one aspect of the faith.
Superficial. Judge not lest you be judged, Reverend. Maybe you ought to spend a little bit more time on the fact that our church covered up one of the that covered up one of the worst sex scandals, and I wasn't involved in it. And you know, the fact that public people after that are willing to still be Catholic is something you ought to be applauding, considering the level of corruption at the highest levels of the church, which was frankly embarrassing to every person.
I'm just asking you for basic honesty. If you remember this church, you profess what the church believes. If you don't believe it, don't say anything about it in public forum and
excommunicate me? Do you know that I went to a seminary? Do you know that I studied Latin? Do you know that I studied theology? Do you know anything about my background? Anything at all, sir?
It's not apparent, Sean.
It's not. Oh, so I'm not a good enough Catholic for you? I'm not a good enough Christian for you?
No, that's not the point.
Judge not lest you be judged, Father.
You know what on church
the
issues,
good book says that.
Well, okay, but the point of the matter is that you're a person in the public. If you're in the public, you're going to be criticized for your public views. Okay, you express them, and I have the right to criticize them.
You specifically took issue with my position on birth control. One of the differences, perhaps, between you and myself is that I recognize that not everybody else in the world is Catholic, and as somebody that is deeply, profoundly a believer in life and doesn't want to see abortion, understanding that there are self-control issues for all in society, understanding that people don't share the faith, the Catholic faith. I support the idea of people outside the church. Would you not rather they use birth control than abortion, sir?
Sean, I just want you to be honest.
Answer that question. Would you rather people that are not in the Catholic Church use birth control rather than have an abortion? That's a simple question.
I want people to use self-control, and you could be preaching that, but you're not.
Well, sir, I say it all the time. I teach my kids not to have sex before they're married. That's my moral job as a parent. But I'm saying for those that don't share your religious faith, would you rather they use birth control or have abortions? Because that's what the reality is, Father.
Sean.
And if you don't see that, you're not facing reality.
That's not the reality, Sean.
It absolutely is the reality. How many abortions have we had legal in this country since Roe v. Wade, sir? Millions of them.
47 million. But Sean, 60% of women going into abortion clinics are doing it because their birth control fails. So how good is birth control helping to stop abortion?
Well, actually, if you want to get technical here, the Catholic Church does support a form of birth control, a natural method of birth control. Is that not correct, sir?
It's not birth control, Sean. It's natural birth regulation, and it's open to life.
It's the same thing to prevent pregnancy. Isn't that true, sir?
No, again, I go back to my original point about the depth of your understanding of the issues. You're a cultural Catholic.
I'm going to say this. I don't really care that you're judging me, Father. I really don't care. But I'm going to tell you this. You know what? With what you're doing here, you are doing more to chase people away from the church. And I would suggest to you, Father, why don't you work on real important issues instead of superfluous issues? If I eat meat on Friday, or you want to call a public figure who is an avowed Catholic a hypocrite, why don't you work on the corruption in the church? Why don't you work on the sex scandal? Why don't you work a change in the attitude that had contributed to the atmosphere that allowed a level of corruption that, frankly, is absolutely morally beyond anything I've ever seen in my life for any church? Why don't you work on real important issues, sir?
I agree with you. And how do you know I'm not working on those?
What are you doing? I haven't read an article about that. Have you ever written an article about that instead of taking cheap shots at people that are publicly Catholic?
Yeah, go to my website, hli.org, and you'll see a lot of criticism of these issues.
Hey, Father,
I'm criticizing you because you're not consistent.
And I'm criticizing you.
You're professing to be a Catholic.
And are you perfect, Father? Are you perfect in every way? Have you not sinned? Ye who was without sin cast the first stone.
You guys need a Jew to break this up. But let me ask you this. Would Hannity be welcome at your church?
Just be happy I'm not calling you a devil like the other guy.
Would Hannity be welcome at your church, Father?
Well, if he renounced his belief in birth control,
wait a minute. Would you deny me communion?
I would.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Time for the Jew to speak. Thank you both very much. And coming up.